Welcome to the BEC Podcast. My name is Rasmus Bæk, and today I'm joined by a former player who is now a TV star, Jim Laugesen, commentator of Danish television, former world number one also, to mention just a few things. Jim, star, I don't know, but I'm happy to see you.
TV.
You're on TV and I'm happy to see you anyway. Jim, you're now working as a commentator for Danish television, hundreds of hours of badminton every single year. Of course, that's fantastic for the Danish public to know that they can basically every day watch badminton and on your channels, but also, of course, having big insights in what's happening around in Europe, around the world. So my opening question, what is the current status of European badminton in your opinion?
I think it's challenged a lot. I think a lot of things has happened that the normal way that we see European badminton players' talents come up has become more difficult, and that's because of the ranking list and the moving of the qualification. That for example, we're sitting here now, we got Denmark Open coming up, and there's no qualification. So these normal young talents, in this case Danish young talents, that normally could play the Denmark Open, get matches and get in, don't have the chance anymore. So it's a very close, you can say it's a close environment for the best ones, and the next talent have to go a different path to becoming better. And in the Europeans' case, it is that I think there's 17 tournaments of the big ones in Asia, and there's only 6 in Europe. So that's becoming more difficult, and we also see more Asian youth players coming to Europe, which is fine, but it makes it more difficult for the young talents in Europe to get the points to get into the big tournaments. So I think it's pretty challenged at the minute.
Was it better when they had the qualification for the bigger tournaments, in your opinion?
It was better for the young players and for a lot of things, but for maybe for I could say the way of structuring tournaments and making sure that you're on time and all this, it was maybe not so good. But I don't think we've seen the big difference. For example, you moved the qualification for the All England, and they just took a day away and played it anyway. So it didn't make that much of a difference.
I follow you on social media. It's not unusual that I see that you, I don't say complain, but you explain that some days are quite long, especially finals, up to 8-9 hours sometimes.
7-8 hours.
7-8 hours, yeah. What is the biggest challenge from that point of view, actually, on that point of view, that the days are too long, but how can we actually handle it in the sport of badminton?
Yeah, well, I've heard, this is my idea, and I've heard some people saying it as well, maybe split up the finals, like you do in the Olympics, so maybe 2 finals or 3 finals, 2 finals on a Saturday and then 3 finals on the Sunday. The problem with having that many hours of a final is that, well, you could picture yourself now, you got a kid, you try and bring your kid to the hall for 8 hours. I'm pretty sure you know what's going to happen after an hour.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And second of all, not that many TV stations or channels have 8 hours. So and this is one of my biggest things as a former men's double player. What I still see is the problem is between the broadcasters, the countries, and the event. They all have to talk together. That means that we want the games at the right time, and then we want to keep the spectators in the hall. And I often see the men's doubles as the last one, and often the men's doubles is on at maybe after 7 hours. And in our case, we are pretty lucky that we have this thing called TV2 Play, that it goes on a streaming service. I don't know how many countries that have that. That means almost I counted for 4 tournaments in a row. The men's doubles was simply not shown, maybe
on television,
which is bad. So you need to find out how to do that. I will also say the biggest thing also is, of course, we have to have ceremonies. We have to celebrate the winners and all these things. That has to be there, but that takes time. So what we have counted sometime is there's 1.5 to 2 hours without badminton.
Out of 7 hours.
Out of 7 hours, which in my case I think is too much, where you have nothing to talk about, and so it becomes. I think it's a long thing for television. I think it would be better to split it up.
What about splitting men and women different tours?
It works in tennis, so I think that's a solution as well. And I always hear this, but then we lose this and that, and talk about the Olympics. Well, tennis is in the Olympics, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is the last couple of, mostly all the time that badminton has been at the Olympics, the viewing numbers are incredible. So I'm not so afraid that badminton would be kicked out of Olympics, because why should they throw out a sport that has great numbers? So splitting it up would be a good idea as well. And you do have great female stars. So it's not like it's only the men, but you have Sindhu and Marin and Tai Tzu-Ying, enormous names that can keep a ladies tour up. And of course you have the men's as well. So that could be an idea. And then maybe have Grand Slams like in tennis, where you keep it together. I think it could be a good idea.
If we look at the setup at badminton tournament right now, we see, for instance, at Denmark Open 3 courts, All England, I think it's 4 courts, but the center court idea has not been implemented so much in badminton compared to, for instance, tennis. Is that a way that badminton should go, or is it actually good enough, or is it the perfect solution to have 3 or 4 courts so you can actually see multiple courts at the same time? What's your opinion on that?
I think I like the idea when you are in the hall that you can see more matches, which is, I don't think you can find a hall for each match, so you can choose like in tennis. So I actually like that idea, and I think the center court would call the TV court today. So that's okay. But I think it's more or less how do you structure the tournament so they're not so late all the time. And in my case, sitting as a commentator, I still have I'm a little bit frustrated with that. I sometimes sit with some games or matches on the TV court, and I have matches on other courts that is way more excited, and we can't see. We have to understand that still in today's badminton, we're talking 2019. I can have a match with Momota and Lindan. You can probably not get bigger names in badminton playing in the first round, because at some point Lindan wasn't seeded, and nobody can see it. It's not shown. Can we afford that in our sport, to have such big names not being shown? I don't think that would happen in tennis. I'm pretty sure if you take an old Federer, he still plays pretty well, and then maybe Djokovic, do you think that would be shown? I'm pretty sure.
But the money in tennis is big. That's no secret. The money in badminton are smaller. That's no secret too.
It's getting better.
But it's getting better.
Way better.
But it's still. But compared to tennis, it's still quite small.
Yeah.
Is that a fair argument of not having 5 TV courts, for instance?
I don't think the cost of having, let's just say, 2 courts. I don't think I would love to see the numbers on having 2 courts, TV courts, so you could choose at least 2 TV courts to start with.
So you're not asking for 4, for instance?
No, I'm not. But today's technology is also that you can actually put a camera up that could send some of the matches a little bit. But let's start with 2 TV courts. I know the BWF has tried that as well. I actually thought the last time they changed it would be like that. We see that the World Championships, and it works really well. But I don't think that the economy of putting 1 extra TV court up is gonna ruin badminton. Not with the economy that comes in.
If we look aside from the broadcasting part and the organizing part, how do you then see the level of badminton actually worldwide? You have been following this sport for 25 years on the top level, being active yourself. Now as a commentator for around 5 years, I think it is.
4, yeah.
For 5 years. How do you see the level right now compared to what the fans would actually used to have?
Oh, way better.
Way better.
By the way that the tournaments are organized, the way it looks, from a TV point of view as well, it's much better. Much better. You know, I was used to playing in halls where there was lights everywhere, and not even TV lights or the right, playing mats or whatever it's called. It's much better. But I don't think that the players think I don't think they think that's a big change in things. It's still the same buses that picks them up at the hotel, and they're still, from what I'm hearing, now I'm not out at the tournament, what I'm hearing is, what's it called, players lounge can be discussed. I've seen some complaints about that on the internet as well, or on the Twitter, for example, from players where it's not even close to being the standard what you could think of. But when it comes to organizing the tournaments and how it looks, it's much better.
What about the level on the court for the players? Are the players better now than they was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Yeah, everything evolves.
Yeah.
Can you compare? It's like comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James today. That's a big discussion. We can also discuss it.
I don't think I'm the right guy for that discussion.
No, but it is what you have to discuss. Yeah. Of course, you have to take the players in which area who was best. But I think it's come to something happened here.
Yeah, I think we'll just
Fix
the cable here. Yep.
I think that there's if, for example, if you take the from 2005, I think they changed the scoring system. Till now, it's developed all the time when you can take maybe players from that DNA or the DNA they had when they played was much different from what they have now. So, but of course, they're better today than they were before. But there is some things, of course, has also changed. Where you can say, if you look at an old match, you don't see that many breaks, for example, where the breaks are very long today.
Is that something that we need to fight?
I think so, because it's clocked. I've clocked it when I sit and commentate. I also see some people discussing it, and actually, there's a guy who makes the statistics on it on Twitter. Not to make commercial, but I think it's Badminton statistics. Yeah. He's very, very good.
It's actually a good job he did.
He's a very good job, and you can just basically see you had and then it's not to take, because I think there was a men's singles final where they played for like 45 minutes, and it was around effective 11 or 12 or something like that. That's way too late. The breaks are
it's half an hour break basically.
Yeah. And then there was a ladies' doubles that was over 2 hours, and they only played for like 30 minutes or something. And that's a long what can you say? It's a long time without badminton.
Anything. Yeah.
So I think
shot clock like we.
I think a shot clock would be good. Then there's no discussion. We need to get away from discussions and human errors.
Yeah.
And because what I see, and now I've been sitting in this for 4 years, as I said, and I've seen a lot of umpires see play on, but I seldom see the yellow card.
Some more cards out.
Well, it's difficult for them because they also have to make what I'm hearing is what they're being told is to make the game smooth, and it's difficult for them they have to have power behind them to give yellow cards.
If we look, Jim, not that far back, we had those Magic 4 guys. Peter Gade, Denmark, Taufik Hidayat, Indonesia, Lee Chong-wei, Malaysia, and we still, luckily, have Lindan. They were 4 Magic players, 4 legends. If we look at it right now, we don't have the same. Will we have, not necessarily in men's singles, but in any categories, the same like legendary status of 4 players, 2, 3, 4 players at the same times to create
in a category?
Yeah, to create that kind of magic anytime soon?
Well, you can say, I think you can put Asan and Setuan already in that one. Yeah, especially Setuan. Momota is getting there.
But that magic where you had, for instance, those 4.
The thing is that it's so much different now. The amount of tournaments that all the players have to play all the time, you do see much changes happening. Where you always saw the same players tournament after tournament compete in the semifinals and finals or whatever. You see Momota doing that. He's really good at it. You see Sukamuljo Gideon doing that. Singsewe and Huang doing that as well. But what I've noticed is that in the tournaments we had, it was almost always different people who went to the semifinals the week after. So it's not the same people. coming out of the tournaments as winners or semi-finalists. So where you used to have it, you could pretty much say these guys would be there.
These 4 guys.
Yeah. And Lin Dan and especially Tung Wei, who has millions of tournaments wins. Now you can see that it takes its toll on a lot of players with, very, very packed tour program. Was it better in the good old days? I think there was more breaks, and I think it was easier to stay away. Now they are forced to participate, which is good for the tournaments, but it will also give you some strange results sometimes, as it does in tennis, because you can't be at your peak all the time if you're not named Momota. But he also lost this year, and you can see Sukamulji Gideon. They lost the All England and they lost the World Championships. Yeah. So it's more difficult now, I think, because it's so packed. You had, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had Indonesia, then you had, what was it after Indonesia? Was it
Japan, right?
Japan. Yeah. There you go. And then you had Thailand. Yeah. And then you had a week or so or two. Then you had the final World Championship. And then you continue after that China Open and so on. So it's a lot of badminton being played. So I think you see injuries, you see, Victor Axelsen was out. And Marin was out. But amazingly
comeback,
incredible comeback. Yeah. So I think it would be a little bit different.
Talking about the European players, we have 2 of them here. Of course, these are all European players. That's actually all of them. Some not with us.
Well, she's not going to compete
on court anymore, but at least we still have them here on our podcast folders here. But if we look to the European players, Jim, Carolina, we have seen her back now. Victor, we don't necessarily know what level he's actually at. We've seen Anders Antonsen doing brilliant this year. Some of the big mixed double has shown up once in a while. Who do you right now see as the best European in each category? I think this lady over here is not a big discussion.
That's her. Yeah. What an incredible comeback.
No discussion.
No discussion, and she can go on and win again and again and again. She doesn't have a Momota in her category. This guy do.
Is he the best European men's singer?
It's between him and Anders right now. I would say before he got injured, he was playing the best badminton I've seen, even better than when he won the World Championship in the Sudirman Cup, where he basically physically ran Chen Long out of court, which I've never seen before. Of course, he had his back injury, so he has to find his feet again in tournaments. I'm very sure he's doing well in practice, but one thing is practice, another thing is playing tournaments. But then you have Anders Andersen, who's also really raised his level, but he's raised it so high now that the expectations are also there. And
do you think he can handle them? The expectations.
It's pretty cool, but let's just remember it's how big steps he has taken in a very short time. So there will be gaps where he goes down.
The singles categories might be the 2 categories where we have the biggest gap, actually, to number 2, 3 in Europe. If we look at the mixed doubles behind you, we have Chris and Gabby. We also have Marcus and Lauren. We have Robin and Selena. We have 2 German pairs doing well. We have and Seidel and Effler, not also 2 good players. We have Danish mixed doubles. Also at the Dutch Open, we saw Matthias Christiansen, Alexander Boyer also delivering good results. Who's actually the best mixed doubles right now in Europe, in your opinion?
I would actually have to go with Lauren and Marcus.
Why?
Because they've shown stability, and they've shown I think the characters has been quite good at looking at. They really want it. Marcus has really stepped up his game.
And Lauren too.
But I like the type of player he is. You can just see he works so hard, and and he's been doing. He won the European Games. They won the European Games
in both categories. Actually,
So I would say at the minute now they have the edge. I actually can't remember who won the Dutch Open. Did they?
Selena and Robin won the Dutch Open.
Well, there you go. So
it's tough. It's tough to call.
But I think if you look at the last half a year, then it must be Marcus and Lauren.
So you're right, we see Carsten Mogensen. We haven't seen him a lot lately on court.
No.
But talking about the men's doubles categories, who's European number one? You have been there yourself. That's number one in Europe.
At some point, actually, I thought that Marcus and Chris was doing best, actually. Also won the European Games. But again, coming back to this ranking list and the new system, there's a lot of things that, that kept someone like Mathias Bo was over there, who's playing with Mads Conrad now, out. But at the minute, I think they might have the edge, Mathias and Mads. The players they've been beating, Alfian Adianto, the Koreans, so they might have the edge, and then it's close. We have Kim and Anders in there as well, and Chris and Marcus. Then you have, I saw some brilliant, good players, young talents in the world. The Scottish pair did really, really well. Lamfus and Seidel, also on the right day in the right environment, they also can make it tough on people.
So also an open category, I hear you say.
I think so, yeah. I think so. And you got this guy with Mads Kolding coming back, but because of an injury, and of course again the ranking system, it's a little bit of a longer time before you can actually be active, which is sad. Which is something, going back to some rules, we need to find out. We can't keep some of the biggest players out of tournaments because they played one. Mathias and Mats played one match in a Thomas Cup somewhere, and then they only have a few points. That needs to be looked at. We can't have the best players not being in the tournaments. But it's a close call.
If you come from England, it's quite clear who's going for the Olympic if they have an Olympic spot. Same for Germany, same for the Netherlands, same for France, so on. But in Denmark, who do you think will make it to Tokyo? I assume we're only talking about one pair here. Or how do you see it for Denmark?
That's a good one, Rasmus. Because that is so close. At the minute, as we're talking right now, I think that Mats and Mathias has got the edge. Because you have to consider that in Denmark, if they do qualify, so they could be, taken for the Olympics, then it could be actually that Kim and Anders is in front of them, but they would still pick Mathias and Mats. And if you look back at the history in who's been picked for the Olympics, we can go all the way back to where Mathias was playing with Carsten Mogensen.
Not getting picked.
They picked Jens Eriksen and Martin Lundgaard instead because they said they have beaten pairs that can compete for medals. And that's what we look at. If we then go past one Olympics and to the next one after Carsten, now we talked about a comeback here. It can't beat this comeback.
No.
With the brain damage or not brain clot he had and all the things that happened there. He made a remarkable comeback, and they were picked in front of Mads Kolding and Mads Conrad because also picked on the basis of they have beaten players that can take medals and the ones you have to beat to get medals. Right now, if you look at it right now, Anders and Kim did well when they won the China Open and have also beaten players, but it's a little...
It's too far in the past.
Too far in the past. And right now, Mats and Mathias is coming up and has beaten tough players. So it's a little bit to Mats and Mathias right now, but a lot can change.
What about Carsten and Mats?
Wow, they can't make it with the points.
So no chance?
I don't think so. No. I think they have to win it all.
Yeah.
If they do that, fair enough. I think they're going.
And then they're going. Yeah. Of course, it's not polite. It's always women first.
I actually think you said today in TV2 Sport that they've given up the dream of 2020, but they're actually going for 2024.
Yeah, so we will have a long run for Carsten Mogensen still, but that's good. Never say goodbye to a legend before it's time, right?
Nope.
Of course, we should have started with the women first, when the women's doubles category. Now we're actually going to finish that, talk about the categories. Strongest European women's doubles currently?
Stoeva sisters.
No discussion.
No discussion.
Yeah. But if we look at the next ones, we saw Cheryl Seinen and Selena Peak winning the European Games. Need to mention that Stoeva sisters was not there because of a situation with the federation. We saw that Lauren Smith and Chloe Birch has also been doing quite a good job. We saw Maiken Fruergaard, Sara Thyssen, they've been from Denmark, very much up and down. How do you actually see the level just below the Stoeva sisters? Because they are the ones to beat right now.
To compete with the best Japanese players, and I could talk about Thailand, Korea, or whatever. But let's just say the Japanese, because they are the best right now. And they have a lot of pairs. They are a little bit too far the next level. Stoeva sisters can compete with them because they got the, what can you say, first the physical side, which they're very strong at, and they also got that that good thing you need to have in Laugesen up where you have, you're very safe in the way that you approach the game. You're willing to put in the work to the point is decided, and they have more safe shots, better defense and stuff like that. Most of the other pairs do in Europe, where they are a little bit of a, can you say, they need to find the easy points, and some of them are quite good at it when it works. Dutch pair is good at it, I think. Maiken and Sara actually also, when under the right circumstances, when there's a lot of drift and stuff like that. But they lack when it really gets tough. And you got these rallies where you, as a commentator, can sit and basically go and get a coffee and come back before it's finished. And that's just what it takes. That's because they aren't that good. I'm not saying this is a negative thing. That's just the level that they reach. If you take ladies badminton today and you look at the mixed doubles, well, you can't just, like in the old days when I played, where's the girl? Let's see if I can smash on her, because that won't happen today. So when they then play against each other, it is like that. There was only one pair that could compete with a little bit of difference. That was Christina and Camilla. And I think the next pairs under Stoeva sisters, they are sometimes looking for those things. A little bit the same thing as they could, but they're lacking what the Stoevas can do, which is stay in there. So if you were the Stoeva sisters, I think it's called, then you would look at that pair and say, what did they put more in their game to challenge the Japanese players? And that was a lot of in the service situations, challenging flat and on the racket and stuff like that. And I think some of the next pairs down there have that, but they're lacking the physical side as the Stoeva sisters.
Jim, the last topic on my piece of paper here is I called the life after Tokyo 2020. Normally, in the past, we are used to see players retiring after the Olympic circle. If we look at the Rio Olympics in 2016, we actually did not see a lot of European or world-class players retiring.
No.
What are your expectations in terms of this retirement process after Tokyo 2020? Who won't we see moving forward from here?
Worldwide or just you?
Yeah, both.
Well, why should you stop playing badminton? It's never been better. You can make a decent living, you earn a lot of money, and so I can't really see that.
There's no reason to quit.
No, definitely not. Why? So coming from a time where there was not that much money in badminton, I would just keep playing as long as I could. So I don't think you see the. You've also seen some taking a little bit of a break, and then when the Olympics comes around again, they start again. So that there is this cyclus going on. But why should you quit when you real day life will come?
Do you believe that we will see Lindan after Tokyo? I actually asked you the same question 4 years ago, and then you said yes, I'm sure after Rio. But what about now?
I've lost a little bit of faith in him. I'm a big fan of him, but I think he's not looking so fit anymore. He used to be very fit normally, but he doesn't look that fit anymore. I don't think we'll see him after that. It could be in a tournament or two just to say goodbye properly, but no. I got my doubts with Taizhou Ying as well.
Why?
I also think because she was out saying that she might consider quitting after the Olympics. Ratchenok as well. There's some things that seems like they've trained so hard for so long time that injury-wise and all these things that maybe the body won't. What can you say? Take more pounding, and I'm pretty sure they've earned it. Decent money to say that's it. It is a hard life to be a badminton player now because there are so many tournaments. Sangning, not Sangning,
Sangnam.
Maybe.
Been there, done that.
I'm pretty sure you will see a lot of the Danish players continuing, but that's because there's a big thing coming up in Aarhus, Thomas Cup. So either if that wasn't there, you could maybe see Janne Jørgensen say stop. And of course these guys, Matthias and Carsten and stuff, also have that to go for, which is a very, very big thing.
It is.
To have the Thomas Cup in Denmark. Yeah. So I think a lot of these players will go for that. So
would you have loved to play Thomas Cup in Denmark?
It would be amazing. Yeah, it's the best tournament at all. You know, it will. It's just. I think and that's up to me, of course. But I think I need because I had a big challenge when Denmark won it to actually tell in Denmark how big this was. You know, I think we're over that now, but we still need to explain what is this. You know, what is the Thomas and Hugo Cup? It is. For many countries, that's so important, you know. For you've seen the classic battles between Indonesia and Malaysia and China, you know. That would have been amazing.
Who would you be most sad to see leave if he/she retires?
Someone I have in my mind, or who I think could. Okay, because I don't think he won't quit. He won't quit.
She also have World Championship in Spain coming up.
Exactly. Yeah, but there's no reason why they have the youth in them. Who I think would why why not just continue? You're doing well. So I would be sad to see him leave, but he's got an ace now, but he's doing.
But he's not moving that much.
He's not.
He doesn't need to.
He won the final of the All England on one leg, so of course it will always be sad when Lindan quits. It's the best player ever.
Do you think that people who see Lindan now should always have in the back of their head that it might be the last time they see him on court?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then they have to go on YouTube and then have a good look at how good that player was. Because nothing compares to him, not even Momota. If you look at his heydays, which I've looked a lot at, also when the battles with Lee Chong-wei, because we cannot forget him as well. Incredible matches. The action that was in it, you know.
You can spend hours on YouTube with
this. Unbelievable. Yeah. Attacking badminton as well, you know, which I like. He's definitely the biggest one, the biggest legend there will be, because it's going to be difficult to surpass him, because not only surpassing his results, the 2 Olympics and the 5 Worlds and 6 All Englands and all the other tournaments, but he was also one of the first that was standing out, I think, from China, being different, you know, taking off his shirt and, you know, challenging system and challenging a lot of things to move badminton in a different, more action-packed, I think, direction. So you can say he's a little bit the badminton's Muhammad Ali when it comes to that in new standard. You know, there was a lot of old players that did fantastic things as well. But when we talk about remembering Lindan, I think that's what we should.
What's your favorite Lindan memory?
There's loads of them. I must say that the final of 2008, the Olympic final, you know, where he
in Beijing.
Well, he didn't make any. He didn't lie about it, but the whole year he just basically played on 80%. and I know you can't say it here, but I'm going to say it anyway. That's how I commentate. You know that. I'm pretty sure he didn't play his best in all the finals. He lost to the other Chinese players because basically what I was saying, his biggest thing was to get 3 Chinese players to the Olympics because they have to be 3 in top 4. But when he really opened up at the Olympics in that final, unbelievable.
Best ever.
Yeah, but yeah,
by far.
Again, you can't compare because you got Yamamoto now. How would that have looked at that time? But when you look at how he played, I just think that you haven't seen anything like it. And that's hard to say because Lee Chong-wei, you could say the same thing. He would probably have been pretty happy if Lin Dan wasn't born.
Jim, I think that will be the last word from you and me. Thank you very much for coming. You're always welcome.
Thank you very much.
Always have to have you good, have you around. And thank you very much for watching the podcast. Stay with us at Badminton Europe, and we will for sure bring you another podcast soon.